Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland and I am sharing a layout today made for GoGo Shopaway. It's actually for the GoGo Shopaway challenge that's taking place at GoGo Getaway. I'm using the Happy Days collection and my challenge is to do a Scraplift. So this is the layout that I've made for other people to Scraplift, but I thought I would still film what I was doing and show everyone how I made it. So I'm using this fabulous paper. It has lemons and peaches, or lemons and oranges, I think, on the other side. But on this side, it has this beautiful kind of mixed media type frame. Very classic Cocoa Vanilla Studio. I always wonder how to use these because I don't like my backgrounds to be completely flat, just onto a pattern paper. So, and because this is a frame, it's not like I can cut it down and use it in the middle of the layout or use a portion of it. It doesn't work. So therefore I thought, how can I incorporate some texture onto this layout and keep the fantastic frame in place whilst using the paper as it was intended. So what I've done is you can see what I've done there is I've cut a wiggly line around the frame. So I've kept the frame in place and I'm just trying to see what will look right behind it. In the end, I decided to go for the original paper behind it. I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, so I started off just by poking my scissors in and then literally following the pattern around. It's just a freehand or freestyle wiggly cut line, goes around the border, yeah, it looks great. So it means that I have made a feature out of the border. So here I am with the border itself, and then I've got the middle part of the paper. So I preserved the middle part of the paper, I'm actually I don't think I trimmed it down at all. I think I'm just distressing the edges, and I'm going to stick all of it onto a sheet of white card because I need a base for it to stick to. So there is the frame about to go on, and I'm going to raise that up on foam pads. Now the reason for that is because I like when I have a frame to create a bit of dimension underneath it, or almost like an aperture, that's what I've done by cutting this frame out, is kind of created an aperture. So I'm just putting regular tape around the outside edge of the cardstock, and then I'm going to put this piece of paper, the frame, on top of the cardstock, but I'm sticking the edges flat and I'm sticking the round the edge of the aperture, I'm raising up on foam pads. So there we go, that is in place. I think I went slightly wonky. I did. So at the top, I've just got to trim that off a little bit and make that look square again. And then I'm just roughing up the edges of the frame itself, just to give it a bit more texture and a bit more aperture and a bit more dimension. So I'm just using my fingernails to do that. So I'm just folding it up a little bit. Right, and there is the inner piece I'm going to put back in. You can't really see it on the video, but it has a very subtle texture on it. It's like a grid pattern. So it's really nice to use that rather than just have plain white in the background. The grid is lovely, and it just gives, and I say, a little bit of extra pattern or texture by having that pattern on there. So I could have gone with just the white, I could have gone with a colour. I tried some options earlier, but on this occasion I thought that the original paper was perfect as it was. So there we go. I've made my background. It was a bit of a faff because I just cut apart the paper and stuck it all back together again. But hey, we're scrapbookers. That's what we like to do, right? So there we go. And now I'm just going to figure out how to make the rest of the layout. Now, if this frame had not been cut out, I would not be able to do what I'm doing right now, which is tuck bits into it. And that's what I love doing best. I love creating layouts with texture, dimension, and to be able to tuck things into places. So by creating the frame, that is exactly what I've managed to do, is I've given myself somewhere to tuck things into. So I'm going to create these little clusters around the layout. So I've got my photo bottom right. I actually add another photo at some point as well. And then I'm just building up my floral ephemera around the edges. So one above the photo, one bottom left, bottom left corner and one top left corner. So yeah, I'm just going to, I've just kind of clustered them together in kind of colours, and I'm just going to see how that turns out. Now the frame itself is very multicoloured, so therefore it reads, it doesn't read as a solid colour itself, it reads as a multicoloured piece of paper around the edge. So I thought that I would contrast that with areas of specific colour. So I've gone down with orangey section in the bottom left corner, greeny section above the photos, and blue, navy blue at the top left corner. And then I've got this big space in the middle, and I figured that I would like to put my title there. It's not quite working. Days is, well, Happy Days is a bit too big. That's the title that came with the ephemera pack, but it's a little bit too big. So in the end, I decided to use the word days from the chipboard titles instead. That made it a bit smaller and it fitted perfectly. And you can see that I've got my photos tucked in there, along with one of the frames from the ephemera kit. I've got a gold foiled frame at the top, in the top left corner too. Now, I don't know if that is one from the ephemera or if that's cut out from the foiled paper. I can't remember. But either way, it's foiled. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm repeating elements in different places. So you can see I've got two flags, I've got two rosettes, I've got two frames. So I'm just trying to bring in some consistency around the layout a little bit. Yeah, it's all kind of coming together nicely. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking at the moment. So yeah, looking lovely. I'm just putting in the last little bits and pieces now. I think all my florals are stuck in place. My photos are all stuck in place, and I'm just adding bits. I've just added, hey, you're awesome, little label on top of the photos. I've got the rosettes in place. I've got the two flags in place. I've got a butterfly at the top there, more flowers, added a peach to the orange section. So it's all kind of coming together quite nicely. Now from the middle of the frames, the foiled frames, there are different icons. That one said love this, I think, or love you, but I just couldn't find anywhere for it to sit perfectly. So I tried, but it didn't work. So I'm going to save that for later for a different layout. Just adding in some of those little enamel hearts. I don't think they're enamel, I think they're puffy, but you know, same thing. I'm put a few of those in place. Now I'm adding a few stickers or word stickers from the cardstock sticker sheet. Loving life, unforgettable, love these days. I'm because they're on different heights. So the frame is higher than the middle part of the paper. I'm having to make up the height with foam pads on one side of those, but got those in place, got my title in place. Really happy with how it's all looking. Just wondering if I can bring in any other elements that I've got. That little that ephemera piece with the tassels on, I've been trying to use that on all of the layouts I've made with this collection so far, and I failed miserably every time, but it will get centre stage at some point for sure. It's quite big, so it needs to be incorporated first rather than as an afterthought. So I should take my own advice and start with it rather than try and add it in later. Right, so just finishing off now with a few splatters of white paint around my clusters. Yeah, pretty much done now, I think. Just to say, just a few little splatters of white paint. I do love white paint splatters. I just think it finishes everything off nicely. And there we go, all finished. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that come together, and if you were at the retreat and you scrap lifted it, I hope you had fun doing it. Yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. That was Niki Rowland for GoGo Shopaway using Cocoa Vanilla Studio. Happy days.